Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope you're here to chat, to hang out, and to just enjoy. And see, I just did it myself. I knew it. I was going to forget to hit mute on YouTube. So I just echoed in my own ear. This is the kind of professional stream that you've come to expect from us, I suspect. Anyway, I just want to say hi to everybody in the stream right now. I'm seeing, it looks like Melissa Harris was first. Wolfie, who I'll be introducing in just a second. Looks like you're second. Mr. Matchstick third. Good to see you guys. Glad you're here. Professor Geek, putting the pressure on us. Have a great stream. Make me proud. Oh, gosh. Can't make any promises, but we'll certainly do our best, Professor. My lovely and talented Netters Network is here. She's the 7th thumbs up. Thank you so much, Lucky 7. Casey Scott, always here, my friend. Glad you're here with us. And, of course, Big Al, my man, buddy. Good to see you. All right, so we got a bit of a group here tonight. That's great. It says there's only 4 watching, but I see a lot more people in the stream. I don't know. Maybe some people are going in, going out. Let me introduce my guests here tonight with me. The man of the hour, the reason that we're here tonight, if I'm honest, our old buddy Agent. Now here, am I saying it wrong? Have I been saying it wrong all this time? Is it Aged Boomer or Aged Boomer?
This came up. Al brought this up a few streams in a while ago, and he was like, is it Aged Boomer or Aged Boomer? And I said, I don't know. And I wish I had responded, it's Age, just typed out Aged Boomer, but
so
Aged Boomer, Aged Boomer, however Al says it. That's how you do it. Okay. I think he does because Aged Boomer. Okay.
The way I see it, there's 2 choices. There's aged like cheese, or there's aged like wizened. So I'm going to go with aged. How's that?
There you go. That's all
right.
Okay.
So Aged Boomer had said to me, I would really like the opportunity to go on and just try this out for myself, but I don't want to do it, fresh and on my own. I want someone to walk me through it. I said, okay, so how about 2 old farts? We get on and I'll show you the ropes, just like Stadler and Waldorf. And he's like, okay, that sounds great. And we'd been planning to do this. Like, we figured we'd pick a Friday when Fan Man, just if he last minute decided not to. And after a couple of weeks went by and Fan Man was being pretty consistent, I said, you know what? Let's just do a Sunday night. Nobody else is doing Sunday night. Let's just do Sunday night. So he said, okay. So last minute, we decided that we'd do this. So we mentioned it on last night's rewatch, and Wolf 10 Media was in the crowd, and he says, hey, I'd like to join you guys. And I said, well, that's up to Agent Boomer. It's going to be his show. And Agent Boomer said, yeah, sure, why not? So say hi to everybody, Wolf 10 Media.
They've got a fight force you've never seen before. They have the ability. Oh, what? Oh, hey, everybody. This is your werewolf, Wolf 10 Media. Hi, how's it going?
Oh, awesome. So yeah, good to see you guys tonight. I'm glad you guys could make it. So Wolf 10 Media, I know you are the resident expert in the anime. You and Mr. Matchstick were rocking it a couple Sundays ago. Is that your biggest area of focus, or what is your primary area of geekdom?
I gotta tell you, Troy, my area of geekdom continues to grow as I age. Okay. And I'm willing to share my age as of right now. Currently, I am 33 years old.
Oh, so you're the young one.
Don't let the voice fool you guys. I'm young, but I'm pre-age and getting there. So it started with Superman, with the Fleischer films. It started with Popeye, and it just grew into comic books, to cartoons, to video games, to anime. My first start was Speed Racer, but I would be lying there. It was actually Sailor Moon that actually got me into anime, which came into Dragon Ball. I even got into Samurai Pizza Cats, a very awesome anime too about Samurai Pizza Cats. Then when it came to games, it was Mario, Zelda. I was there. I was a kid in project just eating up everything that came out, be it like shows like Double Dragon to Ronin Warriors to Robotech, just anything that caught my eye and caught my interest is just I was just in it completely. And as age come with knowledge, the more I grew older, I started digging deep into it. So
Diversifying. So
when it came down to basically that,
yeah.
so like when it came down to saying characters like Superman, I started researching Superman from his iterations to his stories.
So
I mean, I
let
had
me
the
ask
pleasure
you
of
this,
reading.
Pen Media. So being young and expanding your knowledge of fandom, do you find value in the fact that you are a fan in this modern information age where you can just hit something like Wikipedia and get caught up with the cliff notes on something really, really quick?
Yes, I'm actually so adaptive to that.
Yeah.
I've done that all my life. Like especially when it came down to Young Justice, they introduced this one character called Icon, and I took to looking him up.
Mm-hmm.
So Icon is basically Black Superman, which isn't he's an alien too, but he was also brought up in the slavery times.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to that, he was a free slave already, but he met up with this one superhero named Rocket, who was a single mother.
Yep.
And
based on a character from
popped up
the Silver Age that a lot of people don't even realize existed. I used to well, obviously this year we couldn't because of everything that's been going on. Annette and I have been down to Metropolis, Illinois for the Superman celebration for a lot of years. And we'd see people dressed up in his costume. Yeah, it's great. We get, kind of get to know people. Seeing people in that costume, and people would just say, "Oh, it's Black Superman." No, there's more to that history than that. And all the real fans are like, "Oh, that's awesome,"
I will even add before I even. Sorry,
no, that's
I'll even add before Icon, I knew of Mirror Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Blank Man, which is the made up Superman and Batman of the movies.
Exactly.
Especially when it came to especially when it came to Mirror Man and his abilities and stuff. Like that's one thing I wanted to touch upon about certain characters like that. They're built within the mind of combating the real issues within the community. The real issue, which is gang violence and black on black crime. So majority of the villains that they fight were gang members. But I don't want to derail this whole stream about.
Fine. It's a great introduction, and I think I'll want to circle. I'll definitely want to circle around to that topic again in just a moment. I really quickly want to say hi to a few people that just joined us. Daniel Herron, it's always good to see you. Auditor Dread, it's been a while. Good to see you too. And Leia Plus Size, it has been way too long. I have so missed you. I am so glad you're here. So
I miss you too.
Welcome all of my friends. That's really what this was meant to be, was just a bunch of friends hanging out, chit-chatting, kind of inspired by Al, and his afternoons with Al. And I was thinking, you know what? If every other Sunday there's going to be a Weeb Watch, maybe every other Sunday I could do something like this. Get some of us together just to chit-chat and just build the community a little bit. And
especially with this current situation that we have.
Right.
Sorry.
Exactly. And as I said in the little description for tonight's talk, I'm loving the noir rewatches. I don't want those to end, but I've really been missing, the geek talk and basically the office hours. So I said to Aged Boomer when he said, "Hey, let's do something," I'm like, well, how about something like Study Hall? Something that just the fans of Professor Geek getting together and chatting about what's going on in the community. And I know Aged Boomer has been putting together a list of topics. So Aged Boomer, what's the first thing on your study list for tonight?
Okay, well, I thought we could talk about the new Star Trek series coming to CBS All Access.
Lower
Pass.
Decks.
Star Trek: The Lower Decks.
So
You
why don't
haven't
you
even
start us
seen
out?
it. You haven't even seen it.
Pass.
It's gonna be epic. Trust
I'm
me.
sorry. I've already casted my judgment, age boomer.
No,
I'm
let's
passing on
hear
that.
it. Let's hear the boomer out. What do you think?
Let's hear
Agent
me
Boomer?
out. I believe it or not, I was a subscriber to CBS All Access.
I'm sorry.
For quite a while.
I mean, go on.
No, I did it because CBS had a fight with our satellite company, and we watched a lot of shows on CBS. So I figured, let me subscribe to CBS All Access so we can watch, Magnum PI, and which Professor refuses to ever watch, but that's okay. Okay, but other shows like Bowl is my favorite network show that's on CBS. But I figure since I have it, and since people I work,
is that the one with the dude from NCIS?
yes, Bowl is the one with the guy who played
Yeah,
Denozo.
Yeah.
And
We
CBS.
never picked up the new show just because. Well, darn it, we missed Denozo. We want him to come back.
I know, but
to
he's so
NCIS.
good on Bull. He's so good on Bull. I watched NCIS every now and then, but Bull I'm addicted. If you like courtroom drama, it's worth watching. But
yeah, I probably would.
but anyway, friends and people I worked with, they were talking to me about Star Trek.
Lower Decks.
No, the other one,
Oh.
the first one, Star Trek Discovery,
Ugh.
and they kept saying, you need to watch it. And I didn't start it till like after the second season started. I finally started watching the first season.
Sure.
And I know there's a YouTuber named Bowles Trek, and he attacks like the new Doctor Who, and he was doing stuff on Star Trek Discovery. And I was watching season 1, and I was like, look, I know it's not the best show, but TNG had a kind of a rough first season. This has a rough first season. There's some good ideas here. It's not that bad for you to be doing weekly videos. And then I saw Star Trek Discovery season 2. And that might be the worst thing I've ever seen on television.
This is not how I thought this was going to go. But
No.
going.
Okay. And I did watch Star Trek Picard as well.
Okay.
But you watched Doctor Who, so I don't want to hear you watched the newer Doctor Who. I skipped that. Okay. And I was mainly
I didn't watch all of it. I had my limits too.
Okay. Because Red Letter Media was doing a thing. And I will say this. Star Trek Picard, I didn't care for, but I felt bad for the characters on it because I could have seen some of those characters on a Star Trek series and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like Captain Rios and Rav. I could have seen them on a ship, okay? But I did not. It was just, I don't even know where to start with Star Trek Picard. But anyway, but now we have this new show.
I know where I started.
Where?
I know where.
Go ahead.
Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was watching the Red Letter Media coverage, so it's like I decided I'm getting it. I might as well watch it so I can enjoy their coverage better. But no, it's just
there are other options, Aged Boomer. You don't actually have to support the channel in order.
Well,
to...
they must have made up with the satellite company, so I'm no longer subscribing to CBS All Access. So
gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's a wonderful story.
I am not going to subscribe to CBS for shows that. For reruns of shows that, especially the ones that I actually care about, I have on DVD already. I got all of NCIS, so
I'm following Troy's lead on this one. I'd rather get physical copy. I ain't got enough money to be subscribing to all these
not to
these
mention
stream
all
lines.
it takes is for there to be one episode someone is offended by and suddenly they pull it.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah.
Can't watch it anymore. Heck, the Golden Girls
That's
got
what
it
I'm saying.
now and canceled.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fact, you know what? For crying out loud, this isn't where I wanted this conversation to go, but heck, as long as I got Wolf 10 Media on here,
okay.
Wolf 10 Media, I want to get your take on this current cancel culture. Things like the Golden Girls having episodes pulled and stuff. You have a specific point of view that I'd like to hear about.
First of all,
you know what
thank
I'm
you for
about,
being a friend. Traveling roads and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Oh, we're as bad as hell.
I didn't watch the Golden Girls.
Really?
No,
okay.
I watched different.
I
strokes.
believe. Oh yeah, different strokes it takes. Different strokes to rule the world.
Yes.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yes.
But
I was about.
Go
I
ahead.
believe I was about 6 years old when I watched the Golden Girls,
Mhm.
and that show came on every once in a while. I would just tune into it, just right there and there. Like I was into Mr. Belvedere, I was into all sorts of stuff like that. I was never like that one kid that just watched anything that has anything to do with my culture or my race. So I was always expanding, as I
Yeah.
said earlier in the stream. So the fact that they, especially when you take it in the context of what was going on in that episode, it really shows what kind of society that we're heading for, that we're
Mhm.
living in as of right now, to where just one glance at something and they just freak out.
Yep.
They really freak out so quickly. They're so quick to jump the gun,
Yeah.
and they freak out at the mere look at it. And like, it really worries me that nobody's not taking the time to sit our youth down, to sit down and say, no, that's not blackface. That's a face mask.
Yeah.
Back then, we used to use face masks.
Yeah.
Nobody's not educating anybody of what things used to be like way back when, and
Mhm.
people acting like they have the right idea of what things used to be back then, but you're not taking the time to look into it.
Yep. Yeah.
No,
No.
no, nobody's not really sitting there and
I
looking into that.
I think I should point out to everyone, because I jumped into this conversation and I'm not sure everybody even knows this. Now, Wolf 10 Media, you yourself, you are an American of African descent. Am I right? That's
Yes,
what I
I
meant.
am.
That's what I meant when you have a perspective that might be different. Do you consider how do you feel about this cancel culture where they want to remove everything that gives a knee-jerk reaction of offense? First, are you offended by that particular episode of Golden Girls where it's a comedy of errors? Somebody on the show, the character was offended by blackface when it wasn't blackface, and so forth.
First of all, I was never offended by anything that came to mind
Mm-hmm.
during those times of series. I would say that I was never born hateful of anything or fearful of anything. To be honest, I'll give you one example. Like, even when I looked at, say, the movie Malcolm X with Denzel Washington,
Uh-huh.
the only people I ever got mad at was the people of that time. I was never going to look at nobody else of our time currently and get mad at them.
Mhm.
So I looked I looked at what used to be, and know that we're no longer living in that time anymore. We're beyond that.
Like to think
So
we are. A
looking
lot
at,
of us are. Yeah.
and may I add, I grew up where there was a lot of people who wore face masks. And
Mhm,
I grew
mhm.
up around, there was a lot of media that had people wearing face masks. So when I looked at it, I saw nothing but a face mask because they took the face mask off, mind you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to
Even
put
in
myself
cartoons they had face masks.
out there a little bit. This is the kind of thing that can get me canceled. This is the kind of thing that a
Don't
hot
do it.
mic. This is a hot mic moment, but I want to get your live take on this Wolf Time. When I was in grade school, I think I was like 7th grade. That was back when the A-Team was popular. Okay, and I was a huge Mr. T fan. And for Halloween, my costume was Mr. T. Now, I didn't do the blackface. What I did was I did the bald cap wig with the mohawk hair. And I did, instead of gold chains, I wore silver chains because I figured I'm the white Mr. T, right? Okay, I didn't color my face.
Right.
And I had the beard, and I had a fake beard and the silver rings on all my fingers, What do you think about that? Is that something offensive? That's not blackface, right? Is it wrong for me to do a Mr. T costume?
I bet the fool who think Troy being offensive when blackface. He ain't wearing no blackface. I'm gonna tell you right now. Anybody who try to make my friend Troy who think he been pulling blackface, meet me in the ring, all right? Hey, meet me in the ring.
Clubber Lang.
Jokes aside, jokes aside. I would never took offense to that because you weren't wearing blackface. Like the moment I see your costume, I'm like, oh, you're Mr. T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're Mr. T.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing. When I look at any white woman that wants to cosplay as Storm from the X-Men, so long as she doesn't paint her skin, that's fine. If she's going to tan her skin, that's also fine. Like if you're going to tan your skin. Make sure you're being safe. Safety first, though. I don't want you having skin cancer or skin disease. If you're going to tan your skin, practice safely.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get 100% accurate unless you paint your skin, which I don't want you to do. But I'm all for any white women, to cosplay as Storm. If Storm is your favorite X-Men, go ahead, have at it, go nuts.
Amen, brother. I'm so glad to hear you say that.
I've seen a lot of black women.
I actually did take some flack back then as a little kid.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, and it was mild. I mean, back then we're talking early 80s, okay? So it was nowhere near as sensitive. But it was that little bit of, I'm not sure this is okay, But I went to a parochial school. Honestly, I had one black kid in the class. He was a friend of mine. He didn't have a problem with it. And that was pretty much what I hung my hat on. I'm like, look, unless he has a problem with it, I don't see why you're having a problem with it. And I got to be honest with you. I'm feeling like that's where we are in this society, where a lot of people are getting offended on other people's behalf. And I think that's just wrong. If you're truly offended about something, if I was to get offended about, I don't know, The Sopranos and the depiction of Italian Americans, okay, fine, but I have no business getting offended on someone else's behalf. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thought on it. So I would be totally open to saying, hey, Wolf 10 Media, this thing is happening in geekdom. What do you think about it? And if you're like, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, well, you know what then? I don't have a problem with it either. I don't see why everyone has to get so bent out of shape on other people's behalf. But I feel like that's the world we live in now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Sopranos is my favorite television show, Troy. Just
Oh my God. And it was funny because at the time there were Italian Americans that were like, talking about being offended.
Right.
And Nanette would say to me, is this offensive? And I'd be like, nah. I said, I got to be honest with you. I think a lot of these Italians that are saying that they're offended are just doing it to make a point about people being offended about things. I don't think they're really offended. I think they're just saying, hey, look, if you can be offended about that, I can be offended about this, But I got to be honest with you. I had them all on DVD. I watched all of those shows. And it was weird because I would watch and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's just like my Uncle Richard. He reminds me so much of my Uncle Richard. Oh my gosh, that reminds me so much of Tony. Oh, that guy is just like Tony, and I totally see people that I knew in that show. I totally related to it.
Going back to what I said about the blackface.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's going to get mad at people, any possibility of blackface, you should be getting mad at black people for doing whiteface. I mean, Martin Lawrence he played a lot of white people in his show. Eddie Murphy, I think he played a few white people.
Chicks? I love that movie.
One
with the Wayans brothers, White Chicks.
Yeah. You can even make the argument for the Wayans brothers with white chicks.
Yep.
Even Eddie Griffin partaking in whiteface and Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo. You know what I'm saying? He even did blackface on himself.
Yeah, that's right.
He even did black.
Look,
so I'm like,
I better
they blow up.
I better cut you off for Wolf 10 Media because you're going to get Terry Crews.
Go ahead.
People are going to turn on you like they turned on Terry Crews. Be careful. You're making too much sense, my friend.
Let them. You know what? I'm already following Terry Crews on Twitter, and I stand with the man. So
Amen.
You guys can have it. You guys can have at me all you want.
I have totally left Twitter, but I'm following him on Facebook because you know what? I always liked that guy. In fact, wasn't he in White Girls? He was in
Yeah,
White
see,
Girls.
White Chicks, yeah.
He's the one that's doing the dance to that, goofy, I don't know, white person
While on
rap
ecstasy.
song. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I want to bring this back to the topic that we started with Aged Boomer. We're gonna be doing this all night, guys. We're gonna be like jumping all over.
Just jumping topics, jumping all over.
But Aged Boomer. So we were talking
territory.
about Lower Decks. What's your hot take on Lower Decks?
Well, I think it's the first time we've seen full frontal nudity on a Star Trek series, according to that trailer. So there's that.
I must have watched a different. Oh my gosh! No, you're right. Actually, okay. Now
I
that
hope
you say
that's censored in the show. I'm just saying.
You're absolutely right. Oh my gosh. So what do you think about that?
What do I think about the Lower Decks? I don't know. The whole point is these are the loser crew members, but I didn't think there were loser crew members in Star Trek. But maybe I don't know. You're the Star Trek expert, Troy.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're going to bring this back to me, then
Yes.
Here's my hot take on this. So I see this as a pitiful attempt to capitalize on the Orville concept. Hey, look, the Orville is doing well and people like it. So we need to do something like that. And unfortunately, they're doing it poorly. First, what the Orville is doing is the Orville. It's not Star Trek. I mean, people are saying it's more Star Trek than Star Trek now, which is true, but it is still the Orville. It is still not Star Trek. The other thing is, I don't feel you can do parody and comedy until you get Star Trek right. And they're not getting Star Trek right. When you look at Discovery, when you look at Picard, okay, you can't. We were talking earlier. I said, hey, Wolf 10 Media, what do you think about the whole idea of getting into a new area of fandom and doing some research and checking out Wikipedia to get caught up? And he's like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. Well, it seems like the writers for Star Trek aren't doing that. I should not be sitting here going, that doesn't fit canon. That doesn't fit canon. That doesn't fit canon. And then you've got the writers going, well, canon is ours. We own it. We can make up whatever we want. That's fine. You're going to do it without the fans. The fans have followed the canon for over 60 years. Okay. Well, okay. It's been around for over 60 years.
And I gotta make a confession too. I have to make a confession. I was like, I wanted to get into Doctor Who. I was like, oh wow,
that's a
history long. I was like, you know what? I'll just settle with the Peter Cushing movie that I saw when he fought against the Daleks.
It's funny you say that.
That was my only taste of Doctor Who.
I still have not.
I tried to get in with I tried to get into the one where they had David Tennant. I only watched one episode. Didn't really catch my interest. I did get into the what's that one guy with the shaved head?
The guy with
he was like the most immaculate one. It was after the redhead guy, I think. Yeah, he was the redhead. It was after the guy who starred in Terminator Genesis. He was Genesis.
Okay, so
but there was a guy
Matt Smith who was in Genesis.
He was in Genesis, yeah.
And then it was Peter Capaldi, but he didn't have a shaved head.
Oh.
Well, he had a fade.
Yeah, kind of. So let me say this, okay?
Yeah, I tried to go in with the episode with him in it too as well, and I was like,
you brought up a point that the apologists for all of these, new wave of fandoms and all the new writers are saying. I want to speak to that for a second. The idea that we don't want to be tied down by fandom. We don't want to be tied down by canon. We want to do something new. My thought is, if you want to do something new, then you don't jump onto a fandom that's been around for 60 years and usurp it. Okay. You go do something new. If you want to do something new, if you want to do something that has a following for over 60 years, you better pay attention to that 60 years. Okay, well, how does somebody jump onto something that's been around for over 60 years? The fans will help their friends. Mm-hmm. So Wolf 10 Media, if you do honestly want to get into Doctor Who, I would be more than happy to guide you through it, okay? And I'm gonna give you one episode alone to start with if you haven't already seen it. It's an episode called Blink. It was a David Tennant episode.
Blink.
It's called Blink. Yes. You'd have to Google it up. You'd have to, find how to watch it. But let me tell you something. The Doctor almost doesn't appear in the whole episode. You almost need to know nothing about Doctor Who to enjoy that episode. Once you see that episode and you love that episode, then you can start building out from there. Okay. You don't absolutely need to go back and watch all 60 years. You could start with Christopher Eccleston, with the episode Rose. Wasn't Rose the first one? Yeah, Rose. You start out, you use Rose as your character view. You meet the Doctor through her eyes, and you find out as you go. You can do that too if you want. And then as you're watching an episode, if they mention something that's like, that sounds like something that's got more history to it, go ahead and Google it. And then you go to the TARDIS.wiki and you check it out and you find out all the history. And there's probably way more information than you need because there's going to be things from books and comic books and all that kind of stuff. You probably don't need all that, but you just get the background or you just, send a quick message. Hey, Troy, I saw this episode. I didn't understand this. And I'd be happy to fill you in, and that is how you really build a fandom, is the fans building the fandom. That's why we call it a fandom, right? It's a community.
I will say this, Troy. I'll definitely say this. I have a friend who's like a huge nut in Warcraft and World of Warcraft. Most of the lore I got is through him. I will say this. I've never played Warcraft or World of Warcraft, but I love watching the trailers and reading the lore more so than playing the games. I really love hearing somebody wax philosophically about how great a certain character in World of Warcraft is, and he was basically the gateway to World of Warcraft. Bob, again, you have a point there.
Yeah,
fans would be the gateway to fandom.
We are fanatics. For me, that's what a fan is, and I have no problem proselytizing my fandom. And if you show any interest, if you say to me, and as you just did, Wolf 10 Media, I'm kind of interested in Doctor Who, but I'm a little overwhelmed and I don't know where to jump in. Let me tell you, you don't want to jump in where they currently are. This is not good Doctor Who. Where we are.
Yeah.
But there is a whole history of, 30 some seasons of Doctor Who, that I've got up on my shelf. If you get this into it, if you really get like fanatical about it, let me know. I'll hook you up with the DVDs. But in the short term, check out Blink, then go back and check out the Christopher Eccleston stuff, kind of get some of the lore, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, man. But I don't know. As far as Lower Decks goes, for me, it's a big nothing burger. It is a parody that shouldn't exist because they haven't even gotten the basic stuff right. Just my opinion.
Now, Troy, we did want to bring something up though. Star Trek can do comedy because Star Trek 4 was a comedy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But it's got to be built on a foundation of trust. Okay.
Right.
So let's take this back to the kind of sensitive conversation we were having earlier about racial things and so on and so forth. Okay. If you're going to make jokes, about, if you're going to do jokes like stuff that you see in Blazing Saddles, for example, if you're going to offend people,
my favorite,
right? Okay, you were there for our rewatch of that, weren't you?
I was.
When
may not have been the voice, but I was there.
There you go. So that is good-natured fun. Okay, nobody is hating on any group of people that's being parodied in the comedy. Okay, you've got to take it at the level that it's at. So when you come to that, you don't go, "Oh my gosh, that Mel Brooks, he's such a racist." You come to it and you go,
"Oh no,
oh my gosh, that's funny."
No.
And when I come to something like Lower Decks, I don't say, okay, these are people that love Star Trek and they're having fun with us. I take this as people that hate Star Trek and they're making fun of me.
Yeah.
Is how I take it.
I was thinking it almost feels like the series that are being made now are being made by people that used to pick on people for being Star Trek fans. Like,
yes.
Now they got jobs working on Star Trek. That's what it feels like.
Yes, it's this whole deconstruction of our fandoms, and I hate it. I really do. Go ahead.
I think what we've seen is a lot of deconstruction of the Federation itself. I think that we're like in Picard, they're the bad guys basically, or they're not the idealistic thing we grew up with.
Well,
and
these
now
are people that hate America, that hate Western culture, that want to project it onto the Federation and deconstruct it. And that's never been what Star Trek was meant to be.
No.
It was meant to be, even if you do not like Western culture, let's look forward to a better future. You know, let's see what we hope for. And they've decided, no, we don't want to have hope. We want to have this nihilistic, dark view of everything and use it to teach you how you should think. My take on it. Anyway, so and Wolf 10 Media, have you seen this trailer that we were talking about, the Lower Decks trailer?
I will say I will be honest. I only saw like bits and pieces here and there when it was first being trending on Twitter, and I was not impressed. I was not impressed, and the whole proof frontal nudity thing. You know, I call that trying too hard and overcompensation. You're trying too hard to be mature and in there out there. You know a movie, a show that I watched that actually had a good balance of that without trying too hard. Altered Carbon. That had full frontal nudity from men and women.
Al's been recommending that to me. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either.
I got to get around to that. Okay, I'll check out this Altered Carbon.
There's almost a good balance of male and female nudity in that show, and they handle it in such sometimes gratuitous way. I will admit that some of it's gratuitous, but there's also a reason for it. You know, in some areas there's some reason for it.
Let me just say, maybe this is because I've got myself a little bit of loosening alcohol in me, but you know what? I don't have the problem with nudity that some people do. Maybe it's just because I'm a guy.
Same here.
Maybe it's just because, the one high point of Star Trek Discovery, we finally got to see some Klingon boobies. I mean, that's such a terrible thing in my personal opinion.
I have to admit, I couldn't tell when I was first watching it.
Well, in all fairness, I mean,
someone slowed down the video online. I saw that later. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. In all fairness, I mean, it's not like you actually saw the actress's, boobs.
They made the Klingon.
She's as covered as Mystique is in the Marvel movies. I mean, but still, it's like, hey, Klingon anatomy.
What did you think of the new Klingon design on Discovery?
I hated it. But,
me too. They look more like lizards.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's an explanation for it, but I'll.
But what bothers me?
I'm interested.
So you got me started. You asked me, and now you're going to get it. Okay, from the Klingon, from the Klingon cleric. Okay, we went for what was it, like 25, 30 years with the whole debate about the original series Klingon and the next gen Klingons. Smooth versus bumpy head. Okay, and we finally got an explanation in Star Trek Enterprise. Okay, that explained the whole history of how that happened and why in canon, the fandom was united because for the longest time, there was this big divide over whether or not it's just ignore it. They always had bumpy heads, or no, there has to be an in canon reason why there was citations from the role-playing game. No, the role-playing game is non-canon, and it led to some serious arguments within the Star Trek community. It really did. But once Enterprise came out, it's like, okay, we're done. We've got our answer. We're all happy. Everything's good. And then Star Trek Discovery has to come and blow it all out of the water again. You know?
Yeah, Troy, do you remember Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country? I think it was Christopher Plummer's Klingon, the General Kang, was it?
Yep.
He didn't have a lot of bumps on his head, and I took him as he was an older school Klingon. That's how I always took that.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Now, again, this isn't canon.
Yeah.
But this is a fanon idea about it that's kind of implied by Star Trek Enterprise. So we now know that there was this augment virus that caused a lot of Klingons, not all, but a lot of them, to lose their bumps. And those are the ones that we see. We also know that something changed. There was a cure that was found because Kang, Koloth, and the other Dar Master that we saw in the original series, we saw them in Deep Space Nine with bumps. So there was a cure at some point. Okay. There was talk that the interim time that there might be some sort of cosmetic surgery for Klingons that wanted to augment their foreheads back to the way they used to be. So I look at Star Trek and I look at Star Trek 6 and I look at kind of the softer bumps on some of them, and especially with Chang, excuse me. I look at that as, well, maybe that's somebody who was one of these, smooth-headed Klingons that had a little bit of augmentation done to them. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they didn't fully lose their ridges, whatever. I like that idea. That kind of adds something to the story. It doesn't detract from it. But then when you go and completely blow it all out of the water with a completely reimagined, and then use the motion picture as an excuse, it's like you don't understand the lore and you don't understand the fans. You shouldn't even be creating Star Trek.
I have a theory about. Oh, go ahead.
Either one. Sorry, Age Boomer. You know what, Troy? As I'm hearing you, West, philosophically, I'm saying in the back of my head, growing up watching Star Trek, looking at the Klingons, I never cared about their design whatsoever. I just thought each design looked cooler by the minute. I never needed an explanation as to why they look so different, because to me it's like, of course, better technology, better makeup art and stuff like that. But like, never once did I ever question, well, why is these guys got more ridges in their forehead? It's more, I saw it as better technology, better makeup, and even then, like going forward, you get better makeup. I'm still not questioning that. I'm just looking at it like, hey, cool. It's Klingons. Klingons are my favorite.
You could get away with that explanation going from the 60s to the 80s or the 70s, really, right? With because you could look at that and say,
mind you, I do tilt my head at the design in Star Trek Enter Darkness, because it's supposedly taking place within the continuity of the series.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I will have to.
Yeah, this is going to tie into what I wanted to say.
I mean,
so as long
don't
as
get me wrong.
Up, I looked at that first. I can easily accept this is an alternate timeline. Secondly, I'm looking at that and going, you know what? They still basically look like Klingons. Those foreheads still basically Klingon foreheads. Yeah. That one Klingon not having a beard and hair. It wasn't all the Klingons that didn't have beard and hair, so I can buy it. Different costume, different universe, different history. I can buy that too. So I didn't like it at the time. Here's my complaint
about that, though.
I really didn't like it at the time, but to be honest with you, first, by comparison to what they did with Star Trek Discovery, it looks great by comparison. And secondly, it's an alternate history. It's an alternate history that people are mostly forgetting too. What were you going to say, Agent Boomer?
But here's my go ahead, Agent Boomer.
Well, I just want to bring up that I think that is Bad Robot still in charge of Star Trek? Are they the ones doing all these CBS All Access series like they did the movies?
So that's a good question. No, technically not. Now it's technically under CBS proper, but they are still using the Not Bad Robot. What is the production?
Is it related to J.J. Abrams? That's my
It
question.
is. There is still a group that's related to J.J. Abrams.
This is my theory. I've been watching videos on how they had to. What was it? They had to. There were certain rights that didn't transfer over to Bad Robot. Like they had to change a certain amount of Star Trek. Like I don't know if the Enterprise had to look slightly different. I think the uniforms had to look slightly different. They still kept the same colors, but the shirts were different.
So
and I'm wondering if
let me help you out with that. I can answer this for you. Okay, there's a lot of debate out there.
All right,
okay? And if you listen to Doomcock, if you listen to Midnight's Edge, which I think you probably should, they have great insights into the industry. They will tell you that there is this concept of a 25% difference that had to exist for Bad Robot when they did Star Trek, whatever Star Trek Beyond Darkness, JJ Prize. Okay.
Kelvin universe. They call it the Kelvin universe.
The Kelvin universe. Yeah.
Right.
The JJ fans are going to come out and say, oh, that's a myth. Okay. Technically, it may be a myth. It may not really exist contractually, but there is some logic to it. If JJ and his production house want to be able to sell Star Trek toys and merchandise, it's got to be clearly his Star Trek brand and not the classic Star Trek brand. It has to be different enough that it can be related to his movies for him to make money out of it. And that's why it looks so different. And yes, that does translate at least a bit to Discovery, Picard, and so forth. The problem is that nobody is buying the products from those flavors of Star Trek. They are a failure. And CBS is suffering because of it. And they know this. So unless they get their stuff together and start making real Star Trek that the fans will buy into, literally buy into, go out and buy the phasers and the costumes and the DVDs, they've got an empty sack is what they've got. Just my Klingon take on it. Anyway.
This stretches off to every other thing that they've touched, any prop IP that they've touched. They're hiring people who has no idea of how business works, supply and demand. First and foremost, you're supposed to supply them with anything and meet their demands. If I've never been to a business class.
It's more important.
I've never been to a
Go ahead.
I'm saying I've never been to business class and I understand business more than they do.
It is not rocket science. It's very basic. I want something, I'm willing to pay for it. You know that meme of Fry, shut up and take my money. You know, you put out something that I want, you're going to make money hand over fist. You know, you put out stuff that is preachy to me that I don't want, you are going to go broke. The get woke, go broke is true. Time and time again, people do not like to be preached to, whether it's religion or your ideology. And we especially don't like it when you come into our fandom and corrupt it and co-opt it for your preaching.
But why are these Star Trek series still persisting though at this point? I mean, are these just were these in the can a while ago?
Excellent question. I have an answer for you on that too, because it's a very different business model. I call it the Enron effect. Okay. If you know anything about how Enron collapsed, they were a company that lied about their profit margins, and they manipulated the market to keep themselves on top and keep their stocks high. And you can only do that so long before you can no longer borrow against yourself to pay yourself, and it collapses. And that's what happened to Enron. So CBS All Access is basically profiting from the same kind of thing. They are no longer a network station like CBS proper, where they have Nielsen ratings that can be publicly viewed. and know what their success rate is. They don't report those numbers to anyone, so they can keep telling the board of directors, oh, we are so profitable. This Star Trek Discovery is so popular. We are doing so well. Look at all the people that are subscribing to CBS All Access. Now, why are so many people subscribing to CBS All Access? Because they all got free trials for 6 months. They got a free trial. They watched Star Trek. They didn't like it. They canceled their subscriptions, and then they go online and they complain about it. They don't buy the product, no profits. So you can only lie about it for so long.
So it's not like a solo movie that tanks at the box office, and that's an immediate
exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't see it right away. You can lie about it for a while. And now the CBS board of directors are starting to see it. They're going, well, where's the profit? We don't see the money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you tell us if I don't see the bottom line. They're not seeing the bottom line. And so now Redstone and all of them are starting to sweat. And that's why you see things like, you remember when they were talking about the Section 31, Georgiou spinoff from Star Trek Discovery that was supposed to happen? What happened to that? That's gone. That's not happening. They're not even talking about it anymore. Nobody's interested in it.
Why were they obsessed with Section 31?
Because
it's the evil Federation. That's what they want to do.
Exactly.
A show about.
It's dark. It's subversive. Yeah, it's a deconstruction. Yeah, no, nobody's interested in that. So, oh well, that's gone. Nobody cares about that. That's not happening. And CBS, if you look past Star Trek and look just at CBS, remember CBS, Viacom, Paramount, that's all come back together again, and they are suffering financially. In the boardroom, they are tanking, and they are starting to look at how do we continue to stay afloat. And there's been serious talk about selling off Star Trek, but nobody's buying because they have so badly devalued it. So I can't even tell you where this is going to go from here. If they don't start getting their stuff together, I don't know. What else does CBS have going for them besides Star Trek? You guys would probably know better than I would. I don't know. I mean, sure. I mean, NCIS and
that's all their network shows. I mean, they had that Twilight Zone series. I didn't bother catching that, but yeah. And they had some other original programming. They're supposed to be bringing a remake of Stand to it later this year. But
let me just say, anything you put behind a paywall, you better really be bringing it in if people are going to pay for it. Because right now, I am not going to subscribe to CBS, ABC, NBC, Hulu, Netflix, Disney. I can't afford it. Nobody can.
Troy, I'd rather take my chance with Crunchyroll at this point if I'm going to get all the anime I need to go. Because from what I've seen in the roster and Netflix, they ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! They ruined Inuyasha. And let me tell you how they did it. Not only did they remove Rurouni Kenshin while I was in the middle of still watching that, they removed certain seasons from Yu-Gi-Oh! And only left one season that I don't even care for. They've Inuyasha spans at least like 3 or 4 seasons, and they only have 2 seasons. And from what the episodes I've seen, I was like, this is not the full experience.
Yeah. So
who's going to come into.
Let me take this and pivot it a little bit, okay? Because since we're talking about the whole streaming wars thing, okay, who out there of all the streaming services actually has enough pull and clout and content to convince people to subscribe to them? I would argue, I've argued all along, is maybe Disney. And I noticed that Casey Scott brought up something that I actually hadn't heard about before tonight, before he brought it up. He says there's rumors that Star Wars might be getting sold off. Now, I find that hard to believe, Casey Scott.
Give me money. I'll buy it.
Well, yeah, right. If you got a source, let me know so I can look into it. But let me tell you something. It wasn't the best deal that Disney made. They spent almost $5 billion for Star Wars, and they've kind of made their money back, but not nearly as well as they should have. and they know that it was a clusterfuck. And yeah, you know, The Mandalorian, good. You know, yeah, Rogue One, good. Those are the only things that have been good. Everything else has sucked. And it didn't even feel good. Catch my meaning there. But yeah. But Disney at least has a big back catalog. They've got all the Star Wars, they got all the Marvel, they've got all of the Disney films, you know, that they can put on their platform.
Speaking of Star Wars,
mm-hmm.
I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
Troy. Speaking of Star Wars, the only good content Star Wars I've experienced of recent is Cardinal West's rewrite of the sequel trilogy. You guys can check that out. It's about an hour long, but like
I've heard a couple people do rewrites of it. Now, as long as we're on this, let's bring up the, you know, with all the talk about a Snyder cut, now we're starting to hear talk about a Lucas cut. And people calling for a release of the Lucas cut.
All kinds of rumors. There were the rumors of Filoni cuts of Last Jedi too in the works or something.
Look, at this point, I have to imagine that Disney is going, hell, we'll put out any cut that might sell. You know, I mean, they're hurting for money when it comes to Star Wars. There's talk about them completely revamping Galaxy's Edge because nobody cared about their sequel trilogy theme park. Everybody wants to go to the Cantina and Mos Eisley. Nobody gives a flying crap about their fictitious, you know, made for Disney, you know, Jakku knockoff.
You heard it was originally supposed to be the Katina Mos Eisley, right? Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And they decided, nope, we got to push the sequel trilogy. And again, that's another one of those. Kennedy. That's another one of those things that it's just like JJ and, you know, the whole 25% different thing on Star Trek. It's the same thing with Disney. If they do something that's based on the original trilogy, I believe, I don't know this for sure. This is based on nothing, but I suspect that George Lucas still gets a cut of that. And they don't want to give a cut to anybody. So as long as it's based on their new movies, they get all of that. That's wonderful, Disney. You get 100% of nothing. Genius. Business model. That is just fabulous.
They get pork royalties.
Right. But exactly.
No Chewbacca's in the store. We got plenty of porks though. Buy a pork. You know, pork.
And
that's all I'm hearing right now.
That's the mentality. The only thing that anybody liked about those movies was the porgs. Everybody is talking about Baby Yoda. So it's like, for crying out loud.
I'll admit those little guys are quite adorable. They're quite adorable.
Make something cute, and you can make toys out of it at least. That's fine. That's the Ewok mentality. You still need a good movie behind it to make the Ewoks work. Yeah. You know?
Heck, Jenny Nicholson has like a whole bed full of those things in her room.
Right?
She has a giant one on her bed. Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I will say though is I do see Disney finally, slowly, way too late and way too slowly, starting to look like they're trying to pull the reins in. Okay. You guys, and I'm dropping a link right now. It looks like they're telling their talent to cancel their Twitter, their Twitter feeds. They're saying it's because of Twitter hacks, but I suspect it's a little deeper than that. It's enough of this BS that you've been putting out, Ruin Johnson. We're tired of you antagonizing fans. We're tired of your old backlog of BS tweets. Cut it out. That's just my theory based on nothing. Okay. Other than a lot of Disney personalities have closed down shop.
You know, speaking of Ruin, I used to give him some leeway because you know he kind of sounded like an upstanding guy, but I gotta tell you right now, this is me. I know I'm saying this after the fact, but I never found Looper that interesting when it first came out. But I also am not a strong advocate of always lashing out at the fans at all. Those are your customers. You're supposed to treat your customers right, even if
Amen,
you don't
brother.
think they're right.
Amen.
I I work customer service all the time.
They want to shake down the
I was a janitor, custodian, and I know firsthand that some customers can be ornery, but I'm not going to treat them as
You mean you don't
antagonists.
as a customer service representative, you don't say to your customers, you are just a spoiled man baby. You need to buy this thing and enjoy it, or you're an ist and a phobe.
Nope,
we'll tell you
never
what
had.
to like.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Nope. My go-to method was always offering them an alternative, or just say, "Hey, man, this is the only thing we have on sale. You got to take it or leave it." Hey, at least you get to see a free movie, though. I work at a movie theater.
Oh,
on
there
a
you go.
Military base.
Cool.
Which is on lockdown currently. So who knows when that's reopening. I'm not waiting around to find out. I'm considering looking to other jobs.
Wolf 10, were you at the theater when Rise of Skywalker came out?
Yes. Customer base was low on that one.
Could you tell anything about audience reactions from that? Or, I don't know, maybe you couldn't tell. I don't know. But did you?
I don't know because there was so much chatter. It was hard to focus on any conversation. But there was no clapping. There was barely. We would only get like 50 people into that movie, and our theater was big enough to house at least 1,500. So that tells you something. When Rogue One came in, waves and waves of people came for that one. When Last Jedi, I believe, came in, I'm not sure if I was there for that one at the time. I believe waves of people came into that one, but Rise of Skywalker was less and less. There was hardly any people coming into that one. Same thing with Dark Phoenix, and I was like,
Oh,
I didn't even like that movie.
I saw Dark Phoenix. That was sad.
I actually didn't even see it.
It's not good, and because
it's not.
I've always kind of liked the X-Men movies.
They
Some of them can be kind of schlocky. I'm not gonna defend all of them.
Oh my goodness!
But no,
Dark Phoenix was
bad.
I gotta say this: Dark Phoenix was the first X-Men movie where I nearly shouted out "Shut up" at the screen.
And
you probably know why, Age Boomer. But do you want me to say why I almost said that? It was in the scene where it was in the scene where Mystique and Professor X was having the argument about.
I know the scene you're going to say. Yes.
And she says that line, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to get vulgar." Mama Pacelli is watching.
It's okay. I am going to say this though. They're all giving him a hard time.
But I was like, "What happened?"
Go ahead.
He was trying to show the world the mutants are heroes. They were saving the space shuttle, right? And they were saying, people are going to look at mutants as superheroes, which is probably how they should be looking at most mutants. And then, they're giving Professor X a hard time about it, saying you're messing up again, Professor Xavier. They're all giving him a hard time throughout the whole movie. But
I gotta say, my take on it, not having seen the movie, is this was the second time they tried to film the Dark Phoenix saga, and they blew it again.
I think this was worse than the first time they did it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Heard. And
they didn't even bring in the Shi'ar, which would have been a great opportunity to expand the franchise from that.
They had some other aliens. It's just
well, and what ruined that was
not the Shi'ar.
No. Blame Captain Marvel for that. I mean, that was originally supposed to be the Skrull.
Of course.
But
hi, Mama Pacelli. I heard her laugh.
Yeah, she's on the YouTube lag, so she just heard the your previous thing about Mama Pacelli. So that gives you an idea of how the lag works. So I think we've hit Star Trek, we've hit Star Wars. Do you have something else on your docket, Agent Boomer?
I had a couple more things. We don't have to spend a lot of time on them. I don't know if you were interested in this though. This is like a week old, but it's the Batman spin-off series will reportedly be a prequel to the new movie starring Robert Pattinson.
Okay. There's one thing that I want to say about Batman and all the
Okay.
rumors and all the stuff.
Right.
How the hell many Batmen are we going to have? Oh my God. Get your stuff
Michael
together, DC.
They're gonna
It's
have
the same reason why I didn't watch Joker.
Right? I'm tired
It was
of
the
it.
same reason why I kept saying that to my coworkers at the time of Joker when it was screening. I said I'm not gonna watch Joker because it ties directly to Batman, but it doesn't have Batman. It's still Batman's villain. It still has something to do with Batman.
Marvel at least has the excuse.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Marvel was split between Sony and Disney and Universal and whoever the heck else. And at least you understood that. That's why it was divided and you understood it. But, oh my God, Warner Brothers doesn't have that excuse. It's all been under one production house all this time. There is no excuse for all these different reboots and versions. And why, if there was any place that should have had one blended universe, it was Warner Brothers, and they couldn't manage it. They've never been able to manage it. What the heck is going on over there?
Well, they're supposed to bring Michael Keaton back, right? Isn't that what I heard?
Well, yeah, there's been talk that they've been in talks with Michael Keaton to bring him back to possibly do some sort of a Batman Beyond kind of thing. That would be great, especially if it means let's wipe away all the Batmen in between. You know?
Right.
I don't know. They've got to figure out what it is they're trying to do there, because they are flailing. They really are. Do we continue with the Snyderverse? Do we go to something else? Do we reboot? Honestly, I am not big on reboots, but if anyone needed a reboot, it's the DC WB universe, for crying out loud. Just saying.
Listen, Troy,
Definitely.
I did want to mention to you, though, that Pennyworth has been renewed for a second season.
There was a first season? I didn't even know there was a first
Yes,
season.
Pennyworth on Epics. It was about Alfred before he becomes the butler.
I never even thought.
Yes.
That
There's
just
a trailer.
shows
I forgot
how
about
engaged I
He
am.
was like a
with all
super
of this.
spy in the 60s or something, you know?
Oh my gosh. No, I had absolutely no idea.
Yes, they did a series about Alfred Pennyworth as a young man.
So I'm going to drop
Much respect to Alfred.
Go ahead.
Much respect to Alfred, but I don't care. It's still Batman. It is still Batman. I don't care.
Well,
I'm not watching it because it ties to Batman. I'd rather watch Krypton because at least it's something to do with Superman.
Right? Exactly.
Well, this spin-off series, the Batman spin-off series, I don't think it's going to have Batman in it, but it's going to be about the Gotham Police Department before I think Batman shows up.
They were talking about this.
Don't we have that with
and nobody
Gotham?
was interested.
Did we have that with Gotham? I guess.
That's what everyone's
We're doing
saying.
it again,
too.
but this is in a different universe.
So, yeah, again, another freaking universe. So I just dropped the link.
I don't care. It still ties to Batman.
I just dropped a link in.
That is my mindset.
I have a Facebook group called Fixing the DC Cinematic Universe.
Now, let me address it.
Let me just finish up.
Now, let me.
I dropped a link to this group. If you guys are interested in contributing and just brainstorming how we would fix the DC universe, just drop a membership request there. Let's collaborate a little bit, because I've been talking about this for a while, and I think if I could go back in time, I would go back in time to like Smallville, and I would start there and build a universe off of Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Tom Welling looks.
Go ahead.
I'm bouncing off your idea right there. It's like Tom Welling looks really good to be Superman.
Right.
As of right now, he's bulked up recently. He's got the muscle mass for it. When I saw him
more than he did during the show, he would have been perfect.
When I saw him in Lucifer, I was like, right? He could be Superman again. He was Kane in that one, but still.
When I saw when the Arrowverse started, okay, I was so angry that they decided not to make it a spin-off from Smallville. They had already established the Green Arrow in Smallville, and they had him moving away from
And Aquaman.
Yeah, they had him moving away from Metropolis to what is it, Star City, or is it Coast City? I forget which one. Green Arrow goes to
Star City.
Star City.
Star City.
And that's when they should have started his show. No, they decided to do
No. Flash is from Star City. He's from
Coast City.
I think Arrow is from Coast City. Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe.
Although I'm speaking comics, they may have called it something else
know.
in the Arrowverse. I think they called it like Starling City or something.
Melissa,
They made up something completely new in the Arrowverse. Anyway, my point is,
I'm counting on Melissa O'Hara to clear the air for that one.
I loved Smallville and Lois and Clark. Yeah, absolutely, right. Lois and Clark was tied into the comic.
Yeah.
They were hand in hand. If you were a fan of the comic, you could totally get into that stuff, you know. And
Got a muffle there, Troy.
Great job. What they needed to do was they needed to end. They shouldn't have gone 10 seasons. They went for 4 seasons. You could maybe get 8 seasons out of it, at which point he needs to graduate college and he needs to move to Metropolis. And then they needed to spin him up to the movies and then do your spinoff with Green Arrow and continue Green Arrow and get Superman going on the big screen again. Even if that meant rebooting the whole, moving to Metropolis storyline, kind of take some cues from Lois and Clark, take some cues from the old Christopher Reeve,
I loved the Lex Luthor they had on Smallville.
He was great, wasn't he?
Yes.
Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah,
awesome.
My favorite Lex Luthor.
Although I got to say, he also did a great job doing the voice of Flash in the,
right.
the animated shows. I've shared many times. My favorite scene is when Michael Rosenbaum doing Flash is playing Flash, having been taken over by Lex Luthor.
Yes, I remember that episode.
And he's
Lex,
like, if I can do nothing
day.
else, I can find out who the Flash's secret identity is. And he goes up to a mirror and he takes off his mask and he goes, I have no idea.
Really don't know who this is.
It's like, right? It's right. You can see you taking the mask off of a super, unless they're Clark Kent, who happens to be a well-known reporter,
or Bruce Wayne,
who happens to be a socialite, who would recognize Hal Jordan. Okay, who would recognize Barry Allen? Unless you actually knew him. That would be like if Troy Pacelli was a superhero. Okay, who would recognize him except like Nanette and my family and a few of my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I could go around without a mask, and most people wouldn't even recognize me. And
speaking of unmasking, there was that brilliant scene in that 3-parter Starcrossed, I believe it was called, when the Thanagarians invaded Earth and the Justice League had to go incognito. They literally remove their masks in front of each other, and Batman just goes out and says, he straight up goes in, Diane Prince, Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
He knew everybody.
He knew all along. Yeah. Well, that was what was brilliant about the John Byrne era of Superman, when he retold the first meeting of Superman and Batman, and I love this whole thing where Batman has gone to all the effort of lining his cowl with lead foil so Superman can't use his X-ray vision to see who he is. And as they're getting ready to part ways and they have their little conversation about, I consider you an ally, but we definitely have different philosophy on what we're doing. You do your thing in Gotham, I'll do my thing in Metropolis, and he's like, I understand, you're absolutely right, take care, Clark, which
Mr.
takes him off
cleared
guard.
up the cities for us.
How's that? Oh yeah. And
I said Mr. Met,
exactly.
he got it all lined up.
When Superman's taken aback by the fact that the greatest detective has already deduced that Clark Kent is Superman. He's like, okay, you take care as well, Bruce, and takes off. And Batman's like, uh-oh, how did he know that I was Bruce Wayne? He couldn't see me. He underestimated Superman, didn't think he was that smart, but he knew. And I love that. It's like, it doesn't really matter but they're both smart enough to figure out who the other one is.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that Clark Kent's an investigative reporter, so he would be able to figure things out.
Exactly.
I mean,
and Bruce, for crying out loud, he's Clark Kent. So give him a little credit for being Clark Kent, right?
Yeah.
But I love that. And let's face it, does it matter who really knows? I mean, I love there's a meme that's going around. Wait a minute, to Lex Luthor. Wait a minute. You know that Superman's Clark Kent? Yeah. Well, why don't you tell everyone? Why would I do that? As long as he has a secret identity, that's like half of his life he's got to spend with family and doing reporting. If he was Superman all the time, we'd have to deal with him 24/7.
He can't fathom that.
Exactly.
He wouldn't be able to fathom that
Do you
Superman
think
would be everywhere.
Well, you could hold his family hostage. Do you think he's any less super powered when he's wearing glasses? I mean, no, we're not going to go messing with him. And it's true, right? I guess if Superman wanted to, he could technically, lose the secret identity. But the secret identity is not just important for protecting Lois and the Kents. It is about, he really is Clark Kent.
Yeah, they made a point of that on the animated series. He was talking to his parents, and they were like, "You'll always be Clark Kent.
Right.
Superman just helps out from time to time."
Right.
Yeah.
Superman is what I can do. It's not who I am. Actually, it was Dean Cain who said that.
Ah.
It was in Lois and Clark. He said, Superman is what I can do. Clark Kent is who I am. And that sums up Superman. I'm guessing that since I'm not seeing any, as we're saying all this, since I'm not seeing any comments from the professor, he must have dropped out, because otherwise he'd be in there going, "Amen." But it's true, and I don't know. I just have this wish that Smallville had continued on. I think it overstayed its welcome on TV. I think it should have spun up to TV. You didn't have to do the stupid last episode where Lex Luthor forgets that Clark is Superman. It didn't matter that Lex knew. Okay. I don't think he would have gone public with it. I think he still could have been enemies with him.
Nope.
No what?
I prefer the dynamic between Lex Luthor and Superman in Smallville more so than the ever live action Superman Lex Luthor ever. But if you really come down to it, the best rivalry to me was always the Superman animated series versions with Superman and Lex Luthor. Clancy Brown will always be my Lex Luthor.
I love Clancy
Brown. But when you come to relationship wise, I think Smallville really did a really good service to start them off as friends first turned rivals. That was beautifully handled, because you see the friendship between them.
And it was not disrespectful to what had gone before, because if you go back to the Silver Age, that's the way it was. Back when there was a Superboy,
right,
they were friends as young men, and it was, he blamed. Now I thought Smallville did a much better job. It was kind of stupid, the whole, I'm trying to find a cure for kryptonite poisoning. Oh, it blew up on my face and I lost my hair, so I hate Superboy now. I mean, I think the whole,
which I did a Superman skit about that, where he mentioned that I don't know, this chemical got him, he lost his hair, and he's been blaming me ever since.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, so I have no sympathy for DC and Warner Brothers. I have and I take no enjoyment from the Snyderverse. That was an aborted attempt that they keep doubling down on. And they deserve to fail. I mean,
I am.
You know what, Troy? You mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, Age.
Oh, I am
going
to say one thing. I do like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I would like to keep her around, but that's about it. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that
was probably a lucky accident, because considering how much else they messed up, I think it was a lucky accident.
Did not originally like the casting, but since then I've seen enough to know that she actually did turn out to be a great Wonder Woman. Let's face it. I mean, I didn't care for the Michael Keaton casting back in '89. Okay, and
Comedies before he was
Mm.
Batman.
and as soon as I saw that movie, I was like, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. He's a perfect Batman. And the same thing with Gal Gadot. She is, or Gal Gadot. I'm sorry.
I was just born.
Yeah,
I was just born.
but come on, you've seen it.
So I end up liking Michael Keaton anyways as Batman. But again, my favorite Batman will always be Kevin Conroy, and they finally put him in the cow and they made him a murderer in Crisis.
In fairness,
Yeah.
though, the Kevin Conroy animated series Batman, in my mind, was always just a sequel continuation of the '89 Michael Keaton Batman. Ever since I think it was the first episode, I think it was, when he says to Alfred, I've got to go out. What about dinner, sir? Just hold it for me. But this time, make sure you cook the soup. Making a reference to the Vichy
Oh, funny. Yes.
Batman Returns. And I as soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, as far as I'm concerned, this is a sequel to those movies, those Michael Keaton films, But yeah, no, you're right. I don't disagree with you, but gosh, yeah, bring them back. I really would like to see something good in that universe, but
and I only learned about the
much hope.
I only learned about the Silver Age origin of the rivalry between Superman and Lex Luthor through Super Friends.
Yeah, right.
That's I was like, so every time when I was in elementary, middle school, I was like, Superman and Lex Luthor used to know each other, right? So they started this whole rivalry because Lex Luthor was working on a machine and stuff, and it blew up in his face, and his hair melted, and now he's mad at Superman. So I was like that one kid that just knew everything there was about fandom in school because of one little episode, maybe or two from a certain show, and that was the information I was getting it from.
And I've been around with Superman long enough to see so many different incarnations that I'm okay with some updating. He can be updated. I'm okay with that. But you've got to first start from a place of honoring what went before. And secondly, you've got to make it make sense. So when they decided that instead of, Lex Luthor hating him because he lost his hair, now he hates him because he sees him as an outsider and a liar that we can't trust and fearing him. Okay, I guess I can kind of see it. When you add in the vanity, I should be the Superman of Metropolis. I'm the number one top dog. I am actually a human with great mental ability. This guy's just a freak from another planet with superpowers. Okay, I can see that as your super villain motivation. I can live with that. But yeah, I'm also really good with the whole idea of having a backstory where you were friends with him and then you find out he's been keeping the secret from you, and now you really don't trust him, and you can blend those things together. I'm totally okay with that. But you know what?
They tried that with Supergirl and they failed miserably.
Well, because again, they're not honoring what went before it. They're more concerned with their political ideologies that they want to weave in there. They want to make sure that diversity is their first and foremost, not story. And I guess that's why I really appreciate what the professor does when he talks about the archetypes and writing and storycraft. That has to be there first. You have to understand those things.
May I also add, he is now my professor at this moment.
There you go.
He is my teacher.
He knows his stuff. And honestly, it's the height of arrogance. If I were to decide, I want to be a great painter, and I just start slapping pigments on a canvas and expect people to pay me millions of dollars for it. Well, if I don't go and study my craft and get good at it and learn the basics, and another one is Sound Engraver. When she talks about art and she talks about learning the basics, and there is objective criteria by which you judge art. If you don't get those basics down first, you can't mess with stuff until you get the basics. You have to pay your dues and learn. You can't just assume, hey, I can write whatever I want because I'm an artist. No. You have to understand storycraft. You have to understand what people want. You have to understand the genre you're writing in. You know, you can't start writing a noir story if you've never seen a noir film or read a book. You know, you don't just make it up whole cloth. You got to pay attention, do your homework first. But nobody in Hollywood seems to want to do that anymore. It's more important that I use this platform to further my agenda.
Well, I think another part of the problem is too. You mentioned painting on canvas. They're painting over someone else's canvas.
Yes,
that's what they're not even.
You know, you just made me think of that painting of Christ that somebody was trying to restore, and they turned it into a grade school painting of a monkey. Is what it looks like.
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I'll after the stream, I'll find an article about it and post it in the Professor Geek stream.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's one of those really sad things because it was somebody who was trying, but they didn't know what they were doing. They did their best with good intention, and they destroyed an original work of art instead of restoring it, you know. And that is exactly what so many of our fans is happening to so many of our fandoms now, you know. But anyway, so we've covered Star Trek, we've covered Star Wars, we've gone through the Snyderverse and the DC universe, and even a bit of Marvel. You got anything else on the docket, Agent Boomer?
Well, I don't know if you got a chance to watch that trailer for that new video game coming out.
So it's a video game.
Yes.
Okay.
What did you think it was?
Well, there was, and I don't know if it's still around. I know there was a streaming platform that had all these interactive shows.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about
one of them was War Games.
Oh,
yeah, they did a streaming, I don't know what you'd call it, interactive show based on War Games, and you play a character who is a computer expert and hacker, and you know other hackers, and you're doing stuff online, and then you can decide who you meet up with, what you do, what you investigate, and those kinds of things kind of, you know, alter the story and so forth. But
okay. I mean, it sort of reminds me of that, but this is the whole point of this game is you're supposed to be put in basically you're going to be a Twitch moderator. The game is called Gamer Girl.
Right.
And all I know is they pulled that trailer fast. They put it up, and I don't know if the reaction was bad because it got yanked. But I
really
found another. I don't know. And basically, though, it's
what did you think about it? Because it looked interesting to me.
Well, if you've ever had a dream of being a Twitch moderator, but didn't want to do it in real life, you know, this is the game for you. You know,
I guess.
You have this attractive woman who likes to play games, and you know you. I don't know if you can give her money or if you can just modify the track. Wolf 10, did you see it?
Yes, and here's my first thought when I first saw the trailer, and you could probably catch my comment about it on somebody else's Twitter that shared that. I was like, did the movie Cam just get a series? It's a Netflix movie that's kind of like adult, but like I was thinking like did this movie just get a series? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the movie, but I'm not gonna be sitting around watching these chicks just doing some dumb stuff on the screen for attention.
So
then I realized through
gamers.
Then I found out through Mecha Random, Madam Mecha. She explained that it was a game. I was like, oh, so it's like one of those old live action games way back when in the Sega years.
Oh, this might have been before your time. Yeah, in the olden days, they had these things called full motion video games. Like when the CD technology came out, they're like, we're gonna use real actors and video footage, and people are gonna be playing these games, and they didn't take off like they thought they would. And they kind of became a thing in the past. But now we're so used to watching stuff on YouTube, and We even watch people playing games on YouTube and stuff
So
like that.
let me give my hot take on this, because
Sure.
like I said, I drew the comparison to back in 2018. There was an interactive media war games. It was it was put out by a publisher called Echo, and it was basically it was a platform where you, like I said, you'd watch segments of video, and then you'd have opportunities as you were going through to click on things to examine something or do something, and it would alter what the story was. It was kind of like a twist a plot, I suppose, or for old boomers like Aged Boomer and I, if you remember Dragon's Lair and
Space Ace,
exactly. It's
Yeah.
these stories where it's all this pre-recorded stuff in an interactive way. I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. You can go back and change your choices, but if you take it through to the end, you save them, and then when the next season came out, it was supposed to remember your choices and you were supposed to continue on. I think it's a great idea. I'm not sure that it's ever really caught on, because I've never heard anything come of this Echo company or anything after that one season. And when I saw this trailer that you shared with me, in fact, let me share that in the stream so everyone else can kind of take a look and know.
Yeah, because we can't actually watch it while the stream is live, because otherwise YouTube comes after us, right?
Well, true, but give everyone
put it in the chat. Yeah, I like Auditor Dread's comment. It's basically a simulator. Do you know what goes on with Twitch? Just out of curiosity, Troy?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, so you might not be understanding the context of this whole thing.
I attempted Twitch years ago.
Okay.
I attempted Twitch years ago. I've done a few series of streams, trying to stream some game footage and stuff like that. I got a whole backlog of all that stuff in my own channel, which I call Years Worth of Cringe.
Years Worth of Cringe.
But basically, from what I've seen in other videos. Oh, go ahead.
And yeah, I've seen a rise of e-girls since then, from your hero cosplays, your cosplayers, your gamer girls, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. It's completely a mess from what I've seen thus far and how far things have taken.
So fill me in, Aged Boomer. You were starting to talk about Twitch, or
I'm not an expert.
Yeah,
I haven't been on Twitch. I haven't been on Twitch myself, but apparently men will give these women, young men will give these women large sums of money, for attention.
Basically.
While they're playing,
just
reportedly playing games. And that's what this reminded me of. This is what he says when it means it's a sim simulator. Like,
mind you, some are genuine.
Gotcha.
Some are genuine. No, I'm not saying all the women on Twitch are like this. I'm just saying there is a segment. It's a Gundam talks about them a lot, on his channel.
I gotcha.
Okay, so this is what I mentioned in the stream last night. The comment that Nanette didn't want to mention on air. What I meant was eating food live, but I guess and men will pay to watch that.
I get you.
Okay, and that's what that reminded me of. Like, you'll have the opportunity to be a moderator for one of these, and protect this woman. Wouldn't give you the time of day if she met you in real life.
Nanette was when she saw it. Nanette saw it because we watched it together, and she's like, "Oh, I got the impression that you were, it was one of those kinds of things like." She's got her life online, and she's got her viewers telling her what decisions she should make with her life. I'm like, okay, I guess that would be interesting too. I mean, I could kind of see that as well. But you're saying that they pulled it, that they
pulled the trailer. It's still on YouTube because obviously somebody must have copied it, put it on elsewhere. But
although I do have to say, when you consider what the very, very first scene is, I mean, it gives you the logo, and then the very first scene is this girl in close up, leaning over her computer with the camera focused down her bra.
Yeah,
I'm like, Well, okay, you got my attention.
And men will give them money for that. Yeah, Auditor Dread makes a point. Twitch has a rise of gamer girls / cam girls. There were suggested clothing, not all, but a certain bunch.
Gotcha.
So that's
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
usually, I think
When
it's
she-
usually supposed to be PG-13. They don't go. Obviously, they can't do anything too
Go-
bad.
go
I'm not
that
an-
Well,
far.
I'm
I'm not
sure
an
that
expert.
there's I'm sure there's places you can do that too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Troy's jaw dropped, but my reaction to that girl doing that, I just rolled my eyes. I'm like,
well, that just shows
I'm
you
like-
how little experience I have with this kind of thing. I'm like, oh my.
no, I'm just saying, like I'm rolling my eyes, like I'm on Twitter right now. I get that all the time
Yeah.
on my feed. Not saying that I go out looking for it. It's just on my feed.
If you're following certain people, you see what they're following and sharing and whatnot, and you're like, oh, nope.
That too. But again, it's like, but then again, it's like we see that all the time in our shows too. Like even the more spicy shows, like say the CW shows. Dare I say it? They get hot every
Look,
two
I am
episodes
not-
or so.
I am not a prude. Okay, I'm really not. I mean, I as Mecha Random likes to put it, I'm okay. I enjoy the giggity just as much as the next person. I do. I'll admit it. I'm a guy, but I also understand when not everybody's real into that, and you got to know your audience. Is your audience into that? I mean, there is some place for that in. I would argue there's a place for that in Star Trek. Okay, I mean you've had the scantily clad women and the shirts ripped off of Kirk and all that back in the 60s. So it would be hypocritical
Mhm.
to say, and let's face it, there was plenty of that in the next gen too. Okay, I mean, the goddess of empathy. I mean, and whatnot. So yeah, there's a place for that, but there's some places it
Queen
just
Maeve
doesn't.
from The Boys.
Yeah.
There's also Queen Maeve of The Boys. I've not seen The Boys, by the way, so don't just
Okay,
start
so
throwing
as
stuff
long
at
as
me.
you're being age of boomer, have you seen this show, The Boys?
I have not.
Okay, so
I know
guess
what he's. I know what he's
I know
talking about, though. Yeah.
I won't get too into
I know
it.
of it thanks to I know it thanks to
Your boy
oh,
Zach
what's that
talked
one
about it.
YouTube channel? Him too, but there's another YouTube channel that talks about superhero powers and stuff.
Well, somebody brought it up
recently watched.
in I think it was it Melissa Harris or somebody in one of the streams brought up The Boys, and Professor Geek was like, "Oh, it's deconstruction. Forget it. I'm not interested." And I looked and I saw it was on Amazon, and I'm like, "It's on Amazon. I can watch it for free. It costs me nothing." So Nanette and I, binged it. It's only 8 episodes. It was kind of compelling. I will
Okay.
say that. Especially when you consider, again, is it a deconstruction of the genre? Yes. Is it actually Superman, Wonder Woman,
No,
Batman?
no.
No, it is not.
No,
You can do that with, isn't this from the same people that did the Watchmen? I mean, it's basically the same concept. Okay, it's an alternate universe. You want to take that look at it? Fine. There is, I believe, a place for deconstruction. You don't do that with your actual mainline characters. You don't do that with Superman and Wonder Woman. You don't.
Like Galaxy Quest is a kind of a parody of Star Trek, but it's not Star Trek.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Isn't it sad though that when you talk about
Yeah.
things like Galaxy Quest and the Orville being
That they're better-
parodies,
they're
they're
better
actually better?
Yes.
That's what's really sad. I would rather see a sequel to Galaxy Quest or, another season of the Orville than anything else that CBS is doing. We've come full circle. We're starting to talk about that again. So, okay, I won't get too much into The Boys.
Oh, I didn't
I'm
know
not
if
going to recommend it to anybody, but it's out there.
it's
Worth
not for the
checking out.
faint of heart.
It absolutely is not. Talk about brutal violence, gore, and full frontal male nudity. I saw more Wang
And
than I ever wanted to see. Oh my god!
Oh,
then you probably gonna enjoy Altered Carbon then.
Oh gosh!
Wolf 10 Media, Mr. Matchstick brought up telling Troy about Rule 33 and 34. I know one of those rules.
Oh, I could. I only know one of those rules too. Actually, I know two rules: Rule 63, and Rule 34.
Oh, okay.
And Rule 63 is wow. It's not really that bad.
Okay.
I don't know them by number, but I know that there are internet rules that state that for everything that you might have an interest in, there's a porn for it.
I know that one. Yes.
And
that's Rule 30. That's Rule 34.
For every fandom, there is a
34.
gender bent alternate universe for it. I know that one.
Oh.
That's Rule 63. Rule 63 is the gender bent version.
Okay.
Rule 34 is the basic rule.
Okay. I mean, that's all I know.
Anyway, my last word on that whole gamer.
Yeah, you got.
I just don't know what to make of it because it could end up being something brilliant or it could be horrible. I can't tell from the trailer because I don't know if it's a lark, like it's making fun of the whole like Twitch streamer thing, or if it's trying to take it seriously, like you're her protector. I don't know, so
yeah. That's
my final thoughts on that.
I'm not touching it. It's not my cup of tea.
If you're saying that they pulled the
They pulled it, yeah. I know the company pulled it.
Then who even knows if this thing's happening or not, or how they're going to present it? So
what?
Let's revisit it when we have more information on it. But I'm intrigued. I'll be looking for it.
No, what I want to say about this is that they come. You know what's funny? That there's not enough corporate what's that word? Corporate power restraint on these ideas that they keep coming up with. And I'm wondering who's greenlighting these ideas and not actually having a test audience for this before they actually release the trailer out. I mean, there's got to be a test audience for these trailers. So like, why don't they do? If they are, then obviously they're not listening to the test audience. They're just going all in, not knowing what the backlash is going to be about. And they pull these trailers in and they pull them out. I'm like, ain't that more money that's being wasted for just these trailers? I mean, you're wasting not only wasting time, but you're also wasting money.
Here's my take on it. For every product, for every movie, for everything out there, there's always been a market for market research. There's been a budget for it. Nowadays, they can get a great deal of market research for much less money by putting something together, putting it out there, seeing what people say online. And I honestly believe that that's where a lot of these rumors that we are all talking about come from. I think there's a lot of things that are purposely leaked by the studios just to see what the reaction is. Now, I've heard conspiracy theorists saying, well, they're just doing it because they want to get buzz. As long as there's buzz, it keeps them in the spotlight. Okay, maybe there's something to that. But if they're intelligent, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, this is a plot leak for the next Star Wars movie. And when the fans go, this sucks, they go, uh-oh, well, let's not go with that storyline then. Now, I think that kind of works against them because, you end up with the Rise of Skywalker where they've got like 4 different cuts of it based on the reaction from fans and none of it's coherent when they're finally done.
Did you see Rise of Skywalker, Troy?
I have not.
Okay, I'm curious because I know Professor hasn't seen it either. I have.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I unfortunately saw what was that Ruin Johnson one?
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Knives Out.
And when I saw that, I was done. I said, "That's it. I am not doing any more of this Disney." And it took I took so many people telling me to see The Mandalorian before I saw it because I wasn't going to.
I sadly had to convince my mom, my stepdad to pay for Rise of Skywalker because it was our first night together with me and my stepdad to go see the movies with my mom. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since I ever went out to see a movie with my mom, and like they were going to see Knives Out, but they wanted to see an R-rated movie,
Mm-hmm.
and they found out that Knives Out was not R-rated, so they were disappointed in that. And there were no R-rated movies out at the time. I was like, well, we might as well just watch Star Wars, I guess. And I'm just like just dreading for her because I already knew about the leaks. I knew about the story beforehand. I was like, this is gonna hurt. And my mom, my stepdad don't really know much about Star Wars the way I do, and they're just watching and just watching. And they just walk, and I'm walking out with this deep silence
What was their
because I'm
take on
like,
it as people that weren't really fans?
they were just like discussing it and saying like, well, this happened, and I'm like, and my mom turns towards me and she asked me, what did you think, Sean? I was like, it was just hollow, and my mom started busting up laughing
Hey,
because she's like, why, Sean? I was like, well, there's a lot of things I could say, but the one thing I didn't like was the lightsaber fights, and that's usually the best thing about Star Wars movies
right?
is the lightsaber fights, and even they couldn't even do that right. Everybody was too robotic in their lightsaber fights, too robotic. I even went back to look at the saber fights in Last Jedi and Force Awakens. I'm like, you know, they're still robotic compared to the prequels and the original
yeah.
trilogy. Mm.
Yeah, that's and I honestly I haven't even seen Solo, a Star Wars story yet, and I'm probably not
Oh, I
going.
saw that and I was
Yeah.
disappointed. I was
No,
rewriting that movie in my head as I was watching it.
after Last Jedi, I said that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this stuff anymore.
I didn't like the handling of Lando and Solo.
Me
Lando
neither.
Calrissian. They were hinting at the fact that he was having a relationship with the droid.
yeah,
I don't know if that. I don't know. I don't know if they were explicit with that. But
my bigger
They were
problem.
trying to make it explicit, but from my take of it, it was just that they were good friends, that
well,
they just
that's
knew each other
fine.
too well.
That's fine. But I don't know. Maybe that was the media making it out to be something it
They
wasn't.
were reaching for him to
Yeah.
be all openly trying to have a love relationship with a droid. I'm like, that's not what Star Wars is about. I'm
Right.
like,
She looked like Melfi.
and here's the thing.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
somebody.
And here's the thing. I'm really being disgusted with the media as well. Is that no? It seems like nobody can't be friends. Just be friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Even if it's a male or female, they cannot. If it's two women, they cannot be friends. They have to be lovers all of a sudden.
yeah.
And I'm sick and tired of that. Like, why is shippers trying to
Because
spin
Wolfie, it's
narratives?
again, it's what I was saying before. It's them putting their message and their preaching and their representation before the story. It's I don't care about anything else. It's got to be led by a woman. I don't care about anything else, but we have to have a lesbian in there. I don't care about anything else. We have to have, this makeup of racial, it's like, how about you write a good story, okay, and then
You know
decide,
what's funny?
what, Lando, I think we're going to make Lando black. Okay, great. Lando's black.
Hmm.
It
And you
doesn't
know
have to be
something?
a thing.
The latter half of what you're saying is exactly how I create my characters in this one comic book that I'm writing called After Years.
Mm-hmm.
I have characters that are lesbian, they're gay, but they're characters first.
Mm-hmm.
One character is actually if you were to, mind you, these are anthropomorphic animal characters. Age Boomer have seen them,
Mm-hmm.
at least one picture, but like if you were to turn them into humans, they would have been a different race. Either way, you wouldn't even know. So it's like, but point is, when I started experimenting with that, they were already characters first, right then and there. Like like two of the main characters, one is straight, one's bisexual, and I'm like, if I ever put out this story, I'm like, which one of these guys are going to read this and say that there might be a love connection between the straight character and the bisexual character
Yeah, I mean,
when
and
they're
that's
not they're supposed to be friends.
and I feel like that kind of stuff. I guess what I'm getting at is if it's not organic, it pulls you out of the story, you know, and just stop already. It just really and someone, I don't remember if it was in one of the previous streams or in another video I was watching, someone was talking about, oh, I know, it was in the Midnight's Edge group was talking about apparently the guy, the general, the black general from Mandalorian. There's been talk about him being cast as Dr. Doom, and people are going, why? Why are you again doing this?
Dr. Doom is Latvian.
And so
Dr. Doom is Latvian.
Exactly. So what is Latveria? Well, you have the people coming out saying, well, Latveria is a fictional place and there are black people in the
no, they're not
in Europe. And it's like, it's
unless
not
they change it to South America location.
Yeah, I mean,
they could do that. I don't know.
Yeah, it might as well be Romania or Latvia or those Baltic states. Yeah, you're not gonna have a whole lot of people of African descent leading a country. Okay, I'm sorry. And what an insult to all of the already awesome black characters that Marvel has that they're not developing.
I don't need Falcon to be Captain America.
Right.
That is a disrespect to his identity and his superhero persona. He is supposed to stay Falcon.
More of the Falcon.
I
did.
When I look at Falcon, I never said, he needs to be the next Captain America. No. Yeah. No, it must be Bucky. Bucky is his friend for a lifetime. Why do we have a
sequel for Black Panther? Where is that?
Because they want to replace T'Challa with Shuri.
Yeah,
right. Again, you've glossed over an awesome black character because now it's not enough. You need to make it needs to be a woman. It's like, wait a minute, give us a chance to love this character some more before you change it. I don't know. This is what really bothers me. You don't have to. I feel like you're tokenizing now instead of taking character, because Marvel has had a great history of diverse characters. Work with that.
Yeah.
Do them. Show them. You don't have to purposely, erase the white characters just to give artificial diversity. I don't know.
Something else? Luke Cage was a successful show that I watched.
Yes.
Even in the second season, I was giddy when Misty teamed up with him for at least a short episode. I was like, good.
And can Misty, I just say that that was a show that dealt with a lot of racial issues, and not once did I feel uncomfortable or feel preached at. I felt like that was an appropriate way to deal with storylines that would really hit that community. It was organic. It didn't pull me out of the story, like I was saying.
Like Black Lightning did.
I never.
I didn't see Black Lightning.
The only thing I saw of
Black
Black
Lightning
was that one appearance in the Crisis thing, and I was like,
yeah.
Did this character have his own show, or is he just thrown in here for?
He did.
He had his own show.
He had 2 seasons. He had 2 seasons worth, but like the first season was like very annoying to me, and second season kind of grabbed me a bit, but it kind of like improved over the first season because it finally remembered that it's supposed to be a superhero show and not a study on racial politics and stuff. I told my mother because
that's how I see it.
My mom mentioned that she liked Black Lightning. I was like, Mom, I like Luke Cage way more than Black Lightning did. That I did with Black Lightning because I've seen both those shows.
Yeah.
And I told her I was like, Mom, I'm gonna tell you right now, you will love Luke Cage way more than Black Lightning. One, because it's written by the same writers of The Wire, which that show you did love.
Yeah.
So that's a good selling point right there. I got my stepdad onto it, and he was hooked.
Yeah,
I only saw the first season of Luke Cage. I guess Cottonmouth didn't come back for the second season at all, right?
Right.
That's a pity because
I won't spoil it.
Oh, okay, because just as
I won't spoil it.
All I know is on the first season, I was loving. I was right as this villain was getting interesting, and I learned his backstories. He's done. you know. Actually, I probably spoiled too much.
What's really awesome is they pull in so many characters from the I don't want to say expanded universe, from the history of Marvel. You know, that's why the Netflix series were really good in my opinion. I mean, there was one that I thought was kind of a waste. They introduced the Wizard in Jessica Jones, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, this is
What?
terrible.
What's his name?
Wizard. He's kind
the
of like
Wizard.
he's like a Flash-like character, but like in a yellow suit. But they
Yellow
made him,
suit.
yeah, and they made him like overweight, and it was just a really poor representation of the character. I'm like, they just threw him in there to throw in some, old, obscure character. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
There's no
Yeah.
reason for that, but if that's the biggest problem I have with it, I'd say they were doing pretty well, and I'd say they were doing pretty well.
Well, are they?
third season was a good outing.
Yeah.
The third season.
Are they even canon though in the Disney MCU at this point?
Well,
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
No, but there
In the
are
first
things that
few
Disney
seasons, yeah.
can do. There has already been talk about them casting, what's his name? The one that played Punisher in a new Punisher movie.
John Bernthal.
Yep. There's been talk about bringing Luke Cage back, the same actor. So here's what
Michael
they do.
Coulter.
Yeah.
That's his name. Michael Coulter.
Here's what I would argue they should do. Okay. Technically, they can't say that Netflix series is canon, but if you introduce those characters and don't give them an origin story, don't go back and reboot, don't do anything, just cast the same actors, because you absolutely have the right to do that, and continue new stories with those characters, the fans will always assume that those are canon, and they'll be fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. And that's how a lot of these things are. If you want, if DC wanted to reboot their whole universe, they could do a new Superman movie without having to do an origin all over again. We know Superman's origin. We saw it in Smallville. We saw it with Christopher Reeve. We saw it with Lois and Clark. Okay. We can draw from our favorite one and assume this is just a continuation of that. Just continue.
I wouldn't mind Henry Cavill being Superman again.
If they wrote him right, absolutely. But I think at this point, they need to pretty much cut that cord and start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad this is. Because you can't keep anything from the Snyderverse.
And I am firmly against Michael B. Jordan as Superman. No.
Help me out
I don't
again.
care if
I'm not good with actors.
Michael B. Jordan was the villain in Black Panther. He was Eric Killmonger.
Oh, he was good.
Was also,
yeah.
There was a rumor though.
He was.
I heard another rumor though. He might be John Stewart Green Lantern though. I don't know.
That would be good too. But you know what?
I'll be okay with that.
I'll be honest with you. For the sake of the actors, I don't want to see any of these Marvel actors go play roles in DC. It's not good for your career, man. Don't do it. I'm just saying, stay with Marvel as long as you can.
Well, I will say this. I would have rather, wasn't the guy who played Beast in the X-Men movies, wasn't he originally a contender for the new Batman movie?
Kelsey Grammer?
No, the younger kid, the younger guy.
Lucas Holt.
Yeah, I would have preferred him.
Lucas Holt.
I think I would have preferred him than Robert Pattinson for Batman, just because Robert Pattinson doesn't.
I would like him as
Flash.
Flash.
The rate they're going, every male in Hollywood is going to play Batman at some point. I'm serious. It's like every 2 years they're going to put out a new Batman movie. They're going to
Michael
reboot
Cera
it with
can be
somebody else.
Michael Cera can be Batman.
There you go. Sure, why not?
At this point, I would have put Lucas Holt as Barry Allen Flash actually.
Yeah, he would have worked.
But he was still doing X-Men at the time.
Oh,
he was still doing X-Men at the time, so he wasn't available yet.
We got Ezra Miller.
What do you guys think is going to happen with the Ezra Miller Flash?
I don't know. Maybe they'll do.
If I was a corporate exec, I would have cut the cord with him a long time ago. After seeing that,
I honestly
seeing that video,
I honestly feel like they were kind of on the fence and putting it off as it was, and they were unsure about committing to it. And then when that happened, they were like, Yeah, I don't think we can.
But aren't they still
Do
going to
you remember the
Friday
early
night?
2000s?
They keep putting it off and putting it off, and they're going to blame everything on CV and global pandemic and
Yeah.
stuff,
fact
and
that he
that's
was
going to be their
joking
Yeah.
excuse. But it's just an excuse. It's their out for them to say, you know what, we're going to take a break, and we're gonna. I hope they use this opportunity to take a break and freaking reboot from scratch. I really do. I'm not big on reboots, but this is a reboot that needs to happen. Let me tell you. Oh my gosh. So guys, we're at the 2-hour mark here. We have any other topics we want to hit on before we wrap up for the night?
No, Mr. Matchstick had mentioned that you know how like they're the Twitch girls, the e-girls, that there are actually CG ones now, and like they're taking the jobs away from the.
If it's really good CG,
go to them instead of the real life ones. So.
If it's really good CG, then more power to them. I mean, somebody's got to play that role. It's no different than wearing a mask, I suppose.
I guess.
Right now, I see CG as being such uncanny valley that I don't know.
I see that, and I think about that one scene in Minority Report where they go to that one digital virtual reality spot, and there's that one guy just laying there that's got like these bikini clad women just groping all over, rubbing up all over against them. That's what I see right now when it comes to stuff like that. Like America's gonna be Japan by this point with what they do with their workers when they're overworked and stuff. They go through these virtual sims on their phones and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, that's kind of creepy, but I mean, we envisioned that in many sci-fi movies, anyways. Back to what the casting stuff.
I don't know, man.
I'm sorry, Troy. What you gonna say?
I'm just thinking that the future is like, I'm thinking about that movie with Bruce Willis, Surrogates, where we're all going to live in our little socially distanced homes, and we're going to send out robots to represent us, and we're going to use VR to control them, and I don't know. That seems to be the way the world is going now.
Well, the visors from Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. He was not like that'd be a good rewatch. Troy, that'd be a good rewatch for movie night sometime.
Yes,
man.
Yes, and let me be in there.
Oh yeah.
Let me be there. I'll be Simon Phoenix for you guys. I would love to be Simon Phoenix for that rewatch.
Oh,
where are all the ray guns?
Yeah, well, I was thinking the same thing. I was watching this movie. I was like,
Simon says, "Die."
Oh,
is it cold in here?
Definitely,
it's just me.
Great villain.
We're about to.
Oh, my favorite. Illuminate, deilluminate.
Yeah.
Illuminate, deilluminate.
We're coming to the end.
You know what you remind me of?
Oh, he's
an evil Mr. Rogers.
An evil. Oh gosh, right. I'm coming to the
all right,
end.
that's enough.
I'm wrapping up my my time travel thing. We're about to go into the Halloween season, so I'm going to be doing some Halloween rewatches. Then of course we go into November, December. I'm planning in November to do. I did it last year. I think I'm going to do it again because there's been a lot of call for it. I'm going to do another rewatch of the Star Wars Holiday Special in November.
Wow!
Please, if you do a rewatch of Star Wars Holiday Special, maybe have Sound Engraver on if she's never seen it.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Someone who's never seen it, and that
don't subject her to that torture.
You know what?
Please let her live.
There's no numbers on it.
I may not be able to get Nanette back in for a second rewatch. So yeah, maybe I'll pull Sound.
You subjected mine.
Yeah,
you put Max Machado through that torture too.
I know, right?
I've never seen it until I watched it with them too. It was my first time too, and I'm like, no. I
gotta get her props. She didn't file for divorce after that.
As I pointed out, I know that tells you how solid we are. If she can make it through the Star Wars Holiday Special and not divorce me, I've said we've been married this long, and she hasn't smothered me in my sleep, so I must be doing something right. I was pointing out to her though that one thing that I can't really share with everybody is my memory of little, I don't know, 10-year-old Troy, sitting there on the couch looking forward to Star Wars on TV. And you forget all of the bad variety show stuff and the stoned Princess Leia and all that stuff. And all you remember is Han Solo getting into a fight with the stormtrooper and him going off the rail and, saving Chewbacca's son and, real Star Wars action. And it doesn't stand up to, it doesn't really stand. Yeah. it doesn't really stand up to memory. So when you go back, it's like, oh, this isn't quite the way I remember it.
Did you remember the Donnie Marie special that you posted?
I did. In fact, I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually remember watching this as a kid. And this was before we knew that Luke and Leia were brother and sister. So I'm sure that after Return of the Jedi came out, Donnie must have turned to Marie and gone, hey, they really were brother and sister. But yeah, I mean, there's no way for me to share those kinds of memories with you guys, but I was there at the beginning, so I lived through all that. Some stuff does not hold up to a child's memory. I've gone back and watched things like Battle of the Space Giants and Speed Racer and whatnot, and they're good, but not as good as I remember them as a kid. The old Captain Marvel and Isis Filmation Saturday morning series. I loved that as a kid.
Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels.
Yeah.
He's a demon. He's going to be chasing after someone.
Oh, I saw YouTube.
Oh,
they had one. Speed Racer Goes Insane. Have you seen that clip? I think it's from an
actual. Oh wow!
What clip?
It's a clip from a Speed Racer show where Speed Racer's gone nuts and he's driving cars off the track and he's laughing maniacally and like Rex Racer is there and, and I think it's from an episode. And
have you guys heard? AMC Network had did a cut trailer of Forrest Gump, and it's titled Forrest Gump if it was a horror movie, and it is amazing.
Oh really?
That's kind of cool. I'll have to look for that. There's one out there. Mary
they
Poppins.
Even have one for Frozen too.
There's one for Mary Poppins as a horror film, and there's one for The Shining as a romantic comedy.
Oh, that's
wow.
Yes, and you watch it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can totally see this. And you know what? It's a testimony to what someone can do with editing. It really lets you.
Don't even get me started with the. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, I was saying, don't even get me started with the mock trailers for movies with the editing on that one, and same thing with the anime openings for movies. They did a Tokyo Ghoul opening to Batman Gotham Knight, which was amazing. How they chopped that one up.
So we're already getting requests for Halloween. Leia Plus Size wants to see Salem's Lot. Let me tell you. So here's the thing about our rewatches. I have them split up with Al. So I've actually already got. I guess there's there's 4 weeks in October, and I probably get 2 of them. I've been planning for a year to do the follow-up to last year's. I'm going to do Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, and continue my talk about Clive Barker and the Hellraiser lore. And
it's right my alley.
Yeah, right.
Somewhat.
And there is, and the fact that the professor was willing to get in on that last year, I was shocked. So I'm gonna stick with that. And there was one other one that I had wanted to do, and I'm drawing a blank on it. So I may, unless we can talk Al into doing Salem's Lot, I
Troy,
can't promise that's going to happen.
Don't you got a calendar for that?
I haven't gotten to October yet. I've got July and August. I haven't gotten as far as October yet. I'm just kind of spitballing at this point. But also, Leia Plus Size, keep in mind, Fan Man is the real horror film fanatic. So there's always the possibility he'll be doing one of his Friday nights with a vampire theme and may decide to do Salem's Lot. So consider that possibility as well. But okay, I think we've come to the end of our Sunday night rant fest.
Hey, well,
At least
thanks
that's
for
how I
hosting.
saw it.
Well, that's the problem when you talk about modern popular culture. It turns into ranting.
Unfortunately, that's the world we live in, right, Aged Boomer?
I think
Especially
that's why the professor
Pretty much.
because it's just turned into rants every week, and it's.
But you know, it's cathartic sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes
Well, you need to, yeah.
get it out.
Yeah, you need
know. So I'm
maybe
glad.
we'll do another one in a couple weeks, maybe, or something.
Absolutely. So next,
Next week is anime. I know that you guys do anime.
Next week is the Weeb Watch.
Yeah,
So that's
We watch.
Let me. I wasn't prepared. Let me open up my my little calendar so I can drop the link.
Did he really faint?
Who? What?
The professor on the last Hellraiser rewatch.
No.
I'm reading over. Let's just.
No, he didn't. But I'll tell you, it was pretty intense, and it's not his cup of tea. But I understand what he's saying. So you know what? Let's take it in order. So tomorrow night, please, if
Sound Engraver.
If you haven't already, be sure to check out Sound Engravers. We don't know right now what her topic is going to be, but it's always good. She is every bit as insightful as the professor when it comes to breaking down art and giving an analysis of it. And her music, check out her channel. She's got some music that she's composed herself that is just absolutely beautiful. Very relaxing,
yes,
very enjoyable. Then, of course, Tuesday night, we're back to the professor for his noir Tuesday night. We'll be seeing Out of the Past. That's another classic. I love that movie. Wednesday night actually is my Dungeons and Dragons night. So
that's okay. That's Ishii's great big alien cast, right?
Okay, so if you're Ishii,
not that
check out Ishii, and then Thursday we're back to the professor again for his his book study on Star Wars Scoundrels. Way better than Solo: A Star Wars Story is Scoundrels.
Yep.
You get your fill of Lando and Han and Chewie and some other characters from the EU. It's been definitely a fun little reminisce of those characters. Friday night, we assume Fan Man might be doing something, so tune into Fan Man if you're so inclined. And then Saturday night rewatch is Big Al, who I love this. I'm so glad he decided to do this. We're rewatching the 80s classic Crawl. It was a sleeper hit. It was not a big draw in the theaters, but when at the dawn of cable, it was played over and over on HBO, and I must have seen that movie like 100 times.
Oh, that explains why I never saw it growing up, because I had Showtime. We didn't have HBO. So I caught up to movies on Showtime.
Okay.
A lot of the canon movies, like
right.
And that was back when there weren't a lot of movies on those premium channels.
Right.
So you saw the same ones over and over and over again.
That's why I didn't see it till adulthood, because now I know why. Okay, that was an HBO.
Most of those channel networks introduced me to a ton of anime as well. It's GTO, Tekken Man Blade.
Oh yeah.
Boston and Shell, even at Armitage.
And
Armitage Third.
And then
Sci-Fi anime Monday.
Used to have them on in the morning, Saturday morning, Saturday anime. Oh, this was before the Monday one.
Definitely.
They used to do Saturday anime. This was like in the mid '90s. They would do like a Saturday anime, and they would do features on Saturday morning. They'd be cut up.
I believe that's where I saw Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah, they had
on Sci-Fi.
Yep.
And then a week from today, I just dropped the link, Mr. Matchstick's channel, for the Weeb Watch. We're gonna be watching a couple episodes of Goblin Slayer. I've never seen it before.
Yep.
Kind of looking forward to it. A lot of people have been saying I'm gonna like it because I'm.
Oh, I know plenty of things about that one.
You're gonna like it, Troy. I think you will.
I've read, and again, I've read the manga recently.
Okay, so you guys are gonna have to
So
fill
it's a
me
good
in on
story.
that. And that's our weekend review. So that's
I will have
that's
to.
what we got coming up.
Yeah, you know what? That's gonna be my homework for this week. I gotta reread the mangas to commit to memory. Actually,
So that you're well versed to tell us what's different between what we're watching and what you read, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's gonna be the burden on me. So
Okay, guys. So any
definitely
last
gonna
words?
be doing that this week.
How did we do tonight, Aged Boomer? How did you feel about your first outing as a Doctor?
It was great. I hope I contributed too. I'm not sure how I
I think it went. From my point of view, it went well.
Okay, no, I had a great time. I'd like to.
I did too. We had a good showing too. A lot of faces that I haven't seen in the stream in a long time. I'm so glad you all made it. We got at least as high as 14 viewers. That may be the most that I've had on my stream. I think outside of a rewatch with Big Al.
It was all
in
me.
the numbers.
I'm kidding.
I think it was all Agent Boomer.
No, I think it was the three of us. Like the three of us.
And Wolf 10 Media.
I think it was.
Thank you for your your unique take and perspective. I think it was great. How did you feel?
I feel great. I feel real good. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be on this stream as well as many other streams. I'm hoping to get on Professor's stream talking about my taking fandom too, like he's done with you, Fan Man.
Sure.
Wait, you're next, right? I believe you're next when it comes to stuff like that. Because I'm pretty sure he's done Fan Man.
Yeah, he's been well, like I said, with the focus on the noir thing that I think has been put on hold. But yeah, he was telling me he was getting around to me. He'll get to me eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm next so I can meet the professor.
You definitely have a great insight, and we'll be talking more about this
in the flesh.
If you guys all really enjoyed it, let me know. Drop a note onto the professor's Facebook channel. Let me know you want to see more of this, and I'll do this interspersed with Mr. Matchstick's Weeb Watch. Every other week.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, guys. Well,
but yeah.
Thanks. Thanks
good
so
night.
much.
Good night, Marpacelli.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. You take care. Hope to see you tomorrow night on Sound Engravers channel. Take care.
Take care. Good night.
Take care.